Bienvenidos al seminario web. Ha entrado como asistente en modo de solo escucha.
Is the ability to get end-use parts. That means parts that can be used out on the water if you're on a yacht. Say you want to do functional testing on a railway system. Again, we're talking about large pieces, and if you have to be applied on a train schedule in order to run testing, you really have a limitation in how long it can take you to produce those parts. Molds for thermoforming are very expensive to produce and very long lead times often. So what we're able to do is actually print those molds, even large molds, using the Massvit GDP process. Now, traditional prototyping is often used for 3D printing and additive manufacturing, but now we're able to do it to full size. We're talking about form pieces, we're talking about fitment pieces, we're talking about functional parts. Beyond that function, one of the uses of function is using the mold to produce plastic pieces. The items on the left of your screen are actually a mold that was printed with one of our partners out on the West Coast. It's for an aerospace plastic part. We were able to actually print that mold, then they were able to finish it and use that to pull plastic. Now we offer a full proof of concept white paper for that. Anybody interested can look on the right side of the screen. You can expand the panel and you'll see it as a handout. Our product brochure is there along with this concept, proof of concept white paper. This proof of concept white paper talks about how they were able to print the mold very, very quickly and produce over 50 parts with all of the data there. On the right side, you see some typical point of purchase displays, they're called. It's a very dynamic industry. They need to be able to move very quickly, and so you want to be able to produce molds very quickly. And in a complete opposite turn, we'll get into some of the detail later, you can actually print the mold and then fill it with concrete, plaster, or other fillable material. Using the Massvit, you get end-use parts printed out. So what we've talked about so far is just a few of the applications for end-use parts. Installation and fitment checks of full-size parts are uncommon using 3D printing because some of the body panels on automotive use are much too large. It takes too long to 3D print those. Well, now using the Massvit 3D printer or the Massvit GDP process, we're able to produce an entire body kit of automotive components for this client. He needed to roll a custom body kit onto a new Supra, roll that into the SEMA show in 2019. Of course, there was no SEMA show in 2020, but in 2019, in about 2 weeks, they were able to produce the entire body kit, mount it up, sand it, paint it, and roll the new Supra into the show. It's a really phenomenal and revolutionary application for 3D printing. Just no way to do it with any other technology. We're talking about design prototypes for, and again, a focus on an automotive application this time, full-size car. A full-size automotive concept vehicle, 16 feet long, was printed in under 220 hours. About 220 hours for an entire vehicle. That entire exterior of that vehicle was done. This isn't something that you're going to drive on the road, but it certainly saves thousands of man hours to be able to produce this very, very quickly. Now, a lot of people ask about the Massvit GDP process, and they ask about how you can use 3D printing differently than they're used to using it today. A lot of people are using 3D printing on a desktop model, maybe something to put in their hands and sort of work around the desks so that engineers can look at. We're talking about being able to produce full-size functional parts. Talking about that train example I mentioned earlier. Alstrom's a very large company. They're a railway industry giant. They needed to do a noise test at full speed on the railway. At 200 kilometers per hour, about 125 miles an hour, you need a part that's going to be able to withstand the vibration, withstand the environment that this testing is going to be done in. And what we're talking about there is a piece that can be printed full size, typically coated up to add a little additional strength and durability, and then mounted up to run the noise test. They were able to do that much, much faster using the Massvit technology. Now, another example that's based out of Europe is a group that's developing an electric vehicle. And this electric vehicle is going to be offered in a number of different configurations. Well, how do you develop all these different interior components and all these different exterior components for your electric vehicle in the prototype stage, but you still want to be able to fully test that vehicle? We can even watch it on YouTube. Here are the links available. But they use Massvit to produce the exterior and interior components to this electric vehicle that they're developing for the European market. It really gives them a time to market that's unparalleled with any other way. Now, I realize this comes off as a little bit of a sales pitch. It may even sound like a little bit of marketing hype, but we're talking about a true change in how things are printed. We're talking about something that can be printed full scale for a yacht you can be on. That would take days or even weeks using any other 3D printing technology. A company they make customized yachts. They wanted to extend the swim deck, or I should say their client wanted to extend the swim deck on their yacht. In order to do that, they wanted to extend the body of the yacht as well. Well, you know as well as I, if you're involved in any sort of manufacturing, that the environment that the part has to go through, the physical demands that the part has to go through, the weather, being on the water, all of those things have to be taken into consideration. So this customer worked up a design, was able to make a symmetrical design full scale, coat that part, strengthen it, and gel coat it, and put it on the yacht and on the water. These are parts being used out in the world. Now, that's just one quick benefit. You're able to actually continue and bring out customized pieces for people that are ready for them. But beyond that is the amazing cost savings in time. Now, this same company that produced those parts for the yacht also produces other custom pieces. And a typical yacht dashboard may be a single flat panel that just has some cutouts for gauges. Well, he wanted to customize it. And to make a custom design dashboard would normally take days, weeks, or thousands of man hours. They're able to print that entire dashboard in about 8 hours. Now, it's not able to be used out on the water as it comes off the printer. A lot of people ask about our fit and function of our parts as they're done with the printer. And when we get into a really physically demanding piece, people apply different coatings. You want to change the surface finish. You want to change the strength characteristics. You may have a particular application. All of this is available through our finishing guides that we offer. We've worked with our clients all around the world, and we can recommend, try this coating, try that coating. Here's the recommended manufacturer. Here's how it can be applied. And we may have even done a video on it to demonstrate. This dashboard was printed in 8 hours. So you save thousands of hours of manpower to create this dashboard. Then they coated it, installed it, and used it on the yacht. Now, outside of traditional applications that involve engineering and manufacturing components for prototyping, we can also use 3D printing to advance long established technologies. Things like concrete castings. Concrete casting is typically done using a wooden form. Wooden forms are created, and then the concrete is filled, and then that's how it becomes a very geometric dimension. It's not always the most efficient way to do it, but it is the easiest or more traditional. Now we can actually print full scale, full scope concrete casting molds. This can be organic in nature. This happens to be one more used for a functional organic shape that's made out of concrete. You can actually get into concrete artwork, outdoor furniture, construction elements. Anyone involved in the infrastructure plan that's being talked about today, that's hit the news, there's a big bill going through Congress. No matter where you fall on your agreement with this infrastructure bill, the most efficient way to produce parts and can be the most benefit to anybody who's making these pieces. If we can improve the process and reduce the amount of time, and improve the process and reduce the amount of concrete, and improve the process and actually make an impact on our climate change, all of that can be done using the Massvit technology to produce molds. So we're talking about a huge benefit across the world by using the Massvit GDP, producing a mold, but still getting traditional end-use parts. That allows you to use traditional materials. You have no compromise in having to use an additive manufacturing special compound. You actually use our technology to improve your process, not necessarily to just make a compromised part. That really gets you out into the world in the way that you're going to create this improved workflow for creating your final parts. So there's a number of different applications we talked about, really focused on the industrial world, focused on manufacturing. But I also want to get into just a mention here about some of the different markets that are using 3D printing and additive manufacturing. Now, I should point out, this particular webinar is focused on manufacturing. We have a lot of people from different industrial markets here. But we also have some people from what we call visual communications markets, people that are more creative in nature than engineering in nature. We will have another webinar focused on this market on the next couple coming weeks, but right now I'd like to touch on it. Talking about 3D signs and 3D channel letters. This is a new thing for this market to use a 3D printer. Scenic fabrication and props in theme parks, used in movies, now full scale and full size pieces can be printed and save that time instead of having to be all handmade. The artisans can really focus on the message, not just the mechanics. Art and architecture around the world is being scanned and put into 3D. Now we're able to produce either the part to be used as a simulation or actually a mold. And you can make oversized displays and large impactful pieces. We're talking about scenery and exhibits. We're talking about displays that become that much more effective and impactful. You're going to get a lot more engagement with people with no matter what you're doing, a marketing piece, a trade show piece, or just a display at the museum. Anyone driving down the highway has probably seen the three-dimensional billboards that are out today. Now that becomes a real de facto sense, being able to use three-dimensional printing to produce the parts. Now, nobody else could do this using a 3D printer from any other technology. The traditional pieces may be made out of plastic and may take weeks to produce. So you wouldn't create a channel letter like this that has a shadow effect to make more impact unless you use the Massvit GDP style printer. Now our material is translucent. It's white or gray, and I'll get into some of those details later. But with the white material, you can actually light it from the inside. You can add color to it. You can actually add effect to your parts by bringing out the different shadowing effects in a functional piece. These are parts that are printed, coated, and installed on the walls outside, inside, and used all around the world. We're talking about large parts in hours instead of weeks. Traditionally, this would be weeks of time to try to produce. So what we're talking about is a very unique technology. Now, I've talked about the applications, I've talked about manufacturing, I've talked about industrial pieces, but I think it's important that we point out how unique this technology is. A lot of people on this call probably have used or are using three-dimensional printing. Massvit 3D was founded by one of the pioneers of the industry who's helped develop the original SLA or stereolithography. His name's Gershon Miller. Gershon was on the team that helped develop stereolithography. He went on to develop polyjet printing with a company called Objet that was absorbed by one of the industry leaders called Stratasys. So Stratasys, Objet, Gershon Miller, he invented and developed new technologies that have revolutionized additive manufacturing over and over again. So Gershon founded Massvit 3D around the gel dispensing printing process in order to really revolutionize and address the inadequacies of the typical polymer three-dimensional printing market. You can see here a huge number of companies that are out there. There's people that use plastic filament. There's people that melt that through a tip using plastic extruders or plastic pellets. There's what's called powder bed fusion. There's a lot of different technology, which you'll see. Thermoset deposition is unique to Massvit 3D. Massvit 3D is truly using and developing and inventing a new category of additive manufacturing. Now, a lot of people want to understand a little bit more about it, and I'm going to show a short video here in a second. But in general, what we're talking about, or in specifics, we're talking about gel dispensing printing, exactly what the name is. We dispense gel and fuse it using ultraviolet light at the point of bonding. That ultraviolet light fuses so fast that you can actually print horizontally. You can cure this material so fast that infill and support structures are not needed or rarely needed if we want to stabilize a large engineering style part for dimensional stability. Okay, we're talking about no melting, no heating, no heated build chamber, no UV oven at the end, no bath or support structure that has to be later removed. a very, very fast process, and that speed unlocks our size. And not just our size, the size of the parts that you want to produce. Talking about, again, that full-size door panel in about 30 hours. That's truly unbelievable if you know about how parts are produced. Now, what I'm going to show now will be a short video that really demonstrates what Massvit 3D is focused on, okay, what our technology is like. It's a little bit of a promotional video that's available, but I want you to really see the key 2 points that are involved in Massvit's technology. 30 times faster than melting plastic. We're talking about an extremely fast process. And because we're so fast, we have a build volume that is 100 times larger than a 1 foot by 1 foot, 1 cubic foot desktop 3D printer. The most common size that's out there is 100 times smaller than what we can provide. We'll get into some of the hardware here in a second, but let me just start a short video. It'll just take 1 or 2 minutes here to run the video, and we'll get right back into the presentation. 1 second.
Contains a dispensing unit which jets photopolymeric printing gel that is instantly cured by a 360-degree UV light system. During the 3D printing process, the gel viscosity varies to ensure both adhesion and perfect bonding with the help of UV curing. This facilitates rapid production of robust solid models and parts. Full-scale 1-to-1 models can be produced in a single printing session with Massvit 3D printing solutions. Large volume production presents opportunities in a wider range of markets and applications.
I want to thank everyone for catching on to the video. I apologize if it seemed a little bit small on different windows. It all depends on how everybody has expanded their window. I'll have more video here later, and I'll certainly want everybody to see and share how they're viewing this, okay? So what I'd really like to do now is get into some of the details around our hardware and our materials, let you know a little bit more about the product that uses the Massvit GDP process. What we should be able to see with that is that you have a matching printer portfolio. You have unique technology, GDP, gel dispensing printing, and it has radical speed. I realize it's unheard of. 30 times faster almost sounds like marketing hype, and it truly is not. We're able to produce parts very, very quickly. Full-size car hood in 22, 25 hours. Full-size car seat in 27 hours. These are pieces and parts we did for a recent trade show. In order to produce those large parts, we need large size mega build volume. Okay, we're talking about a build volume that's 4 foot by 5 foot by 6 foot, big enough for me to stand in and a couple of my friends. So it's a big build volume, and we're able to produce about 60 inches tall part in 6 hours. That means that we can really make big parts fast. We've got over 100 cubic feet of build volume. If you do that translation, that's about 2.8 cubic meters. Sometimes people are out there looking for large parts. They go to Google and you look for large 3D printers, and you might see one that's 2 foot by 3 foot by 2 foot. That's 18 cubic feet to give you an idea. There's another company out there that talks about how big they are at 1 cubic meter. We're 2.8 cubic meters. And the only reason that we can produce such a large build volume is because we can use it. It's practical. The speed of our printer allows you to use the materials to generate full-size parts. It does you no good to print a part that takes weeks to produce because your design may have changed by then. Let's get a part to you this week, this day, rather than in weeks or months. Now, we're going to get into a little bit more detail on our latest edition of our printer portfolio. Talked about gel dispensing printing. We've talked about our applications and how we can use it. Now let's talk about this hardware. And just in May, we introduced at Massvit 3D the latest Massvit 5000 3D printer. This additive manufacturing printer has some of the highest technology available out on the market today. We've expanded with additional layer thicknesses, and we'll get into some details on each of these points. We've added additional material capabilities where we can run 2 materials at once. We have some advanced additional displays and advanced technology that'll really help you get your throughput and your workflow efficiency up. And of course, we always take in the feedback we've gotten from our clients to adapt our software and improve our technology. So some of the key features we talk about on the Massvit 5000 is the fact that dual head printing is now standard. Now, we do offer a base 1800 unit that has a single head that's not upgradable. That's certainly available at different price points all around the world. We regionally focus on the hardware, the materials, and the rest. But what we're talking about is the same product line available. Talking about the 1800 with a single head versus all the way to the Massvit 5000 with dual head printing being standard means you improve your workflow efficiency. You can get 2 parts out at the same time. Those parts are fully independent. Those heads work independently of each other. You can actually run different materials on each one, and you can also do different resolutions, different layer heights with each head. That's really revolutionary in the industry. You don't just move the panel down, you actually adjust the head as well. So with this expanded layer choice, you've got 0.5 millimeters now, which is about 20 thousandths of an inch, or 1.5 millimeters. So here's a chart that shows you go from a very high definition part all the way to a very fast part. You can improve our already radical speed by printing at a thicker layer. That thicker layer means that you get your part even faster. Just talking about some very high speed printing when you're running at the fast mode. Now this HD resolution is also pretty revolutionary. It's 0.5 millimeters, about 20 thousandths of an inch. You get really smooth surfaces. You have small printable details on your parts. What we like to say is engineering grade parts. We're talking about high fidelity, consistent surfaces. These dimensions are much more accurate than you might expect out of a printer of this size and scope. You're going to get good, solid parts that you're going to be able to use for your form, fit, functional testing. Now, in combination with that, Massvit reviewed and I looked at what else they can do with the printer and try to improve your return on your investment. So we've involved a dual material system. Instead of a single bucket running to 1 or even the optional 2 heads in the other printers, now we have a 2 material system. You can run the same material or different material on each head of the printer. That means that you can use the high fidelity HD quality material on one head and maybe the more cost-effective DIM90 on the other head. All the physical characteristics are pretty similar, but we have some spec sheets and everything that we can share with you. And again, we're happy to share all that with you at any time. Really, you can it helps you focus and stay focused on what your needs are and really apply the printer to your application. Now, beyond the hardware and the physical use of the printer, we're trying to update also the ease of use functions. We started to get into the advanced monitoring. Now, anybody who's involved in 3D printing and additive manufacturing knows that it's possible that the plastic didn't melt right on somebody else's machine and that you walked in and you didn't have your part ready. Well, Massvit, because we extrude gel, can keep an eye on that print head very, very closely. Using a computer algorithm, we have a vision system that watches that exact point of printing so that if we see an inconsistency, we go over and clean that head instantly. It's not based on time, not based on layers, although those can be involved. Now we're also watching for that closed loop feedback system. You get a very high success rate. That means you print it with high quality and you can really run unattended when you follow the steps and specs that we clarify for running unattended and printing a full part without error. Outside of what I call the back end, the back office, advanced monitoring system, we have front office improvements as well. We've automated our file preparation. Some people, as large as our build area is, some people want to print parts that fill every bit of it. To do that, you don't want your part hanging off the sides. And so the smart slicing software, it's the slice software that comes with the printer, is available to say auto orient. So that's going to go through a computer algorithm and align the part into the best possible position for the best possible part. So that's just one more feature that we've put in to try to improve the ease of use. Now, beyond the software and beyond the technology, everything we've done as a company has been focused on getting you the best product that you can get and improving and taking in your feedback and improving your experience. So we've added an additional 40-inch high definition monitor. There's 3 different cameras in the build area. So we have a 4-foot by 5-foot by 6-foot build volume. And if you think about it, your first print layer is almost 6 feet high. So what we try to do then is put a camera on it. That way you can see everything very easily. You can actually record that as well. So now you have this great video feedback for your clients, for marketing, for recording purposes, a lot of different features that you can actually tape and record and put out onto the screen. Now, we've also taken some feedback in about the servicing or the material area. We've expanded and enlarged the large service stores so that the material is even easier to use. And of course, we've updated our user console to make it a little more ergonomic. And again, really focused on that ease of use and getting our feedback and really using it and applying it to our next technology. Now, what we'd like to do now is connect with our headquarters over in Israel. I didn't mention this at first, but our headquarters is in Israel, where we've got a team of people who are focused on design and development and production of the 3D printers. The printers are also supported regionally by either regional Massvit teams, regional dealer partner teams in Europe, in Asia, here in North America. We are all over the world for both your service, your support, and providing your materials. So now what I'm going to do is connect us to Nir over in Israel. He's going to do a live demo of the Massvit 5000. If you give me just 1 second, I'll work on connecting him up. Once he's done, we'll come back. We'll answer some questions and make sure everybody gets to know about the benchmark process. 1 second.
Thank you, Jeff. So much of a valuable information, a lot of information. Welcome to you in Massvit headquarters, 10 minutes away from Tel Aviv. We welcome you to our new launch of the Massvit 5000, and you're going to see a live demonstration of our disruptive technology. But before we dive into the machine, why don't we see some parts that we are generating with our technology? The first part that I want to show you is a car bumper. This car bumper was printed in less than 22 hours, sent, of course, for painting. And if we take a look at the back side of it, we will see that we reinforced it with fiberglass. Imagine 22 hours and you have your bumper, and its weight less than 15 kilograms. Another part that I want to show you is the textured product. It is important that we can print very smooth, but we can print also texture product. This product is part of an engine, and we will see it also in the machine while we print it. This is a car door, part of a concept that was printed as one part, including the windows and including each small detail that you can see here. I want to take it, show you how light it is, and also present the other side. You can see that we printed even the mirror. Everything in one part. Even the stand that is on is printed by a Massvit 5000. Another part that I want to show you is a technical part, part of a bus light that was printed, painted, and also protected with fiberglass. Also, this part we are going to see as we print it at the Massvit 5000. Jeff was talking also about other application, and I want to present an application that is coming out of the vacuum forming. This is a real project coming from aerospace. And actually this part was printed in a few hours, and we took 50 parts out of it. It is a real part that can solve you a lot of problems. Just imagine that you can create your parts at the same day, you can create your mold at the same day. So how is Massvit 5000 doing it, and doing it so fast? Let's talk about the GDP technology. At the GDP technology, we are printing one layer on top of each other. Once we print the layer, we cure it immediately. It means that the product is ready for use immediately. If I print one layer on top of each other, I can also print one layer next to each other. By printing one layer next to each other, I'm generating a roof. If I'm generating a roof, I need no support. I need no infill. I can save a lot of money, a lot of time, and also a lot of work taking off the support, because I have no support. I have this cone here to show it to you. And as you can see, most of additive manufacturing system would print it that way. Massvit is printing that cone that way. We are printing again, slice by slice, layer over layer. And when we come to the roof, we print one line next to each other. I hope that the camera can show that this object is hollow. If we want to see a little bit the Massvit 5000 in action printing, maybe we will zoom into the operator screen where we can see our technology in action before we stop it, just to show you. Okay, I hope you can see it. It is fascinating. I can take hours and hours look at it. And I think we will zoom out. Victor, is it possible to open for us the doors? We'll ask Victor to open for us the doors. No problem. And okay, while Victor is opening the door, we will start to talk about the volume. You see, it is a big machine that we are presenting here. We have a table of 1.2 meter by 1.5 and with a height of 1.8. It means that you can print me in about 6 hours. It is amazing. It is enough to have one, but it is possible. Oh, thank you, Victor. Okay, we will start. We'll start on the left side. I hope you can see the core of the technology of the Massvit 5000. What you can see here is our printhead. What you can see here is our printhead, and the printhead is designed from a dispenser. The dispenser dispenses gel through a tip. This is the tip that you can see here. The tip can supply gel in different resolutions, and it will be cured immediately by a UV ring that is set here. The UV ring will supply the optimal curing for your object. So if we give more gel, we will use more UV, and vice versa. Next to the UV ring and the dispenser, Of course, we have our camera here. This is not a regular camera. This is a detection system to allow you best-in-class quality connected to our computer and will help you to control your quality. This is one head, okay? So if you want to print more, what you can see that the Massvit is having actually two heads. Yeah, we will zoom out. And I hope that you can see the two heads together. Just a second. Or if you zoom out a little bit back. This is the head that we explained about. And here we have another head. So actually, with the Massvit 5000, you can duplicate your work and you can print two objects. As you can see already, the objects are not similar. So I can print actually two different objects at the same time. Means that I can print different resolution for different application. Now, you heard at the presentation from Jeff that we are talking about dual material system. And here at the Massvit 5000 for the first time, we are presenting a dual material system. On the left side, we have our economic solution called DIM 90 for high production, high speed prototyping that is set here on this left head. On the right head, on the other head, we have our DIM 110. This is that we are just launching, design for industrial application. And we talk about automotive, marine, and rail. What you can see also here, I hope that the camera can show it. I'm not sure it is visible. They have different colors, but mainly we are talking about a high resolution image of 0.5 mm. The DIM 110 as a gel has a characteristic that enhance your productivity. It can print on one side higher resolution, like 0.5 millimeter, but also can increase your productivity by new mode that is printing in 1.5 in an enormous speed. As we said, more than 30 times than anyone else. And if I want to summarize, I would say that the Massvit 5000 is presenting the capability to penetrate into new markets. On one side, to our existing markets, where all our machines there, and on the other side, to industrial markets that require a high definition, high resolution, and accuracy. We understand that sometimes you need both, and this is what the Massvit 5000 can give you. Can let you enjoy from all the worlds, different materials, different application, as well as different objects at the same time. Of course, that you can print also one big object at a time with the needed material that you have. Last thing about the material, we can run two materials at a time, and you, as someone that is going to have the machine, can choose out of our assortment, and for surely we are going to develop more and more materials for you to choose out for. I think this is from my side. Jeff?
Yes, Nir. That's a wonderful description and demo. Can you talk a little bit about that monitoring system that's attached there?
Oh, yeah, thank you very much. Yes, I think it is important that we talk about a little bit about the monitoring and a little bit about the software. The monitor, as you can see here, is showing what is happening inside the machine with 3 different cameras. Actually makes life a little bit easier for us instead of looking inside the machine, but can also be part of your marketing activity that you can record. I want to say that in terms of software, as we are a developer of hardware, material, and software, we also enhance the software, and we are talking about an automatic detection system to allow best-in-class quality. And second, something that is very important in additive manufacturing is the automatic placement of your object. So if you want to print it at the best quality and the highest speed, you need to orientate it right. And our automatic orientation system will help you to do that.
I want to thank you, Nir. I really appreciate everybody's work overseas to get the product out. Nir, I appreciate all the work. I hope everyone online today was able to see how the printer works, really see the functions. Over this last year with COVID, not as many people could come see the hardware. We will be having an open house. We have more and more clients of adapting our technology. We can typically get anyone around the world to see a printer in person pretty easily, but Nir's demonstration is probably one of the best. We really appreciate the team putting it together. I again say thank you. I'd like to go a little bit into Massvit 3D now and come to some questions and answers, and then kind of conclude here with our benchmark process. What Massvit is focused on is addressing the inadequacies of the existing technologies. We're not out here to replace everything you've done in additive manufacturing and everything you're used to. We don't make carbon fiber nylon parts. We don't make different parts and pieces that you might be more used to out of ABS. But with our product, you're able to produce parts very, very quickly, very, very full scale. The fact that you can save that time and save that money and materials means that we produce a part that's up to 30 times faster than you're used to. That disrupts. That's a disruptive technology, we like to say, because it's a unique category of 3D printing. Our company has been focused on addressing the speed and size limitations for years. We've been around since 2013, and here just in 2021, we executed an IPO. So we were going to be a leader in the industry now and ongoing. You will see more and more people adapting to using GDP technology, gel dispensing printing, to get their 3-dimensional prints out, to get their additive manufacturing pieces from parts and pieces, form and function, tooling, molds. All of these are functions that can be done using gel dispensing printing. We're talking about large pieces used in automotive and marine applications. We're talking about visual arts, scenic fabrication, cutting edge technologies for renewable energy, and even consumer products can all benefit by using 3D printing and additive manufacturing, but we're able to now produce full scale components. So once again, we're talking about speed and size. That speed, really what makes the difference. Lets you bring a product or a part to your hands much, much faster. No need to wait 7 days, 10 days, 2 weeks to get a part. You can actually get your part in a day or two, keep moving forward, improve that workflow, get that process done even faster. Now, this is a quick slide about our contact information. It's not our final slide. We'd like to get some questions started here in a minute, and Cindy will be on in a second to ask some questions, but I want anybody who has to cut out. We're approaching just a few minutes to an hour. But we will answer everyone's questions, and then we're going to really talk about our benchmark process, talk about our open house coming up. But my contact information is here. The company contact information is here. We, of course, will be at the Rapid Show in Chicago, the world's largest additive manufacturing trade show and expo. But before then, about a month from now, we will have an open house at our new experience center in Atlanta. Of course, we have more industry-focused events on boats and composites and all the rest coming through the end of the year. So what I'd like to start now is some questions. If Cindy has been watching our questions box, we're going to have her come on and ask some questions. And we're going to see what we can do about what questions are available out there and see about getting those answered for you.
Okay, Jeff, the first question is, can we install a 0.5 nozzle on an 1800 Pro?
To install a 0.5 nozzle, and the 0.5 nozzle is actually different. It's not a 0.5 nozzle, but the 0.5 millimeter layer height is only currently available on the Massvit 5000. We typically allow for upgrades, and we are planning that in the future to our legacy equipment. But right now, currently, our Massvit 5000 is the only printer that will do 0.5 millimeter. Upgrades will be available in the future for your 1800.
Okay. Our next question, what is the warranty for this printer?
Warranty question. A lot of people like to know, what are they buying into? This piece of technology is cutting edge, but has a wonderful warranty. All parts, labor, and travel expenses for the first visit are covered for the first year. Parts and labor after that first visit, are still covered. You only pay for the travel expenses. But for that first year, are supported regionally by either dealers or directly with Massvit. As I mentioned, our headquarters is out of Israel, but we have centers in North America, Latin America, Europe, Asia, all around the world.
Okay. Our next question, will we be able to download this presentation for capital request use?
Absolutely. We'll make sure that everyone on this webinar gets a copy of the presentation. In addition, the videos are available. We can get any of that information. And most importantly, if you're invested or investigating a capital equipment purchase, we're happy to get you a proposal. The pricing, the stock availability of the materials, the printers, all vary region by region. And so it's important that you get a proposal focused on your area and supported by either your local Massvit representative or your local dealership.
And finally, can the printer use both print heads on the same part?
That's another big question a lot of people ask. Now, this is a dual head printer, this particular Massvit 5000, and any of the printers that have the upgrade ability to 2 print heads, they do not print on the same part. Both print heads work on a gantry system, and the gantry can't cross. But if a part should use 3/4 of the build volume and the second part uses only 1/4, the system will do that. So with the 5000, you can run fully independent heads and run different resolutions and different materials. And in other systems, the dual head system runs the same material, but on 2 different heads, but you can run different parts or the same part at the same time. Now, Cindy, did you say that was the last question?
We have one more.
Okay.
Is there any post-processing required, or are the models ready to use once printing is complete?
Perfect. So our system, gel dispensing printing, is very, very fast. The UV light cures virtually instantly, microseconds, milliseconds, however you want to see it. We do not need a UV oven at the end. Typically, for most componentry, depending on what sort of structural ribs or structural supports we want to put in, those are just perforated and snap off. So there's truly almost no post-processing. There's certainly no dip tank to dissolve supports. There's no need for infill, so we don't have to dissolve that out. There's no need for a UV oven. Any finishing you do at the end might be for you to get a smoother surface finish. The parts sand up really nice. We have people who have produced parts that are museum quality. This really provides a really nice part, and then you sand it up, coat it, and put a paint on it, and you've got a museum quality piece at the end. Trade show quality, engineering quality. Again, really good parts. Any other questions, Cindy?
We have one more.
Perfect.
Can Can you produce a part bigger than the build volume of the printer?
Very good. Now, the printer prints in 4 foot by 5 foot by 6 foot. The parts are very easy to bond together. If your part's bigger than 6 feet tall or bigger than 4 by 5 by 6, you're able to actually produce those parts in pieces. Our software will slice it up, or you can slice it up in your CAD model. Then when you bond those parts together, you don't even have to use third-party additive. You can, third-party adhesive. You can actually bond the parts together using the Massvit Dim Gel as the bonding material. So you get basically a perfect weld. You apply that material to the surface and hit it with a UV flashlight available through Massvit, and that would allow you to have one entire part all produced through the Massvit material. Cindy, do we have any more?
No, thank you so much, Jeff. I think that's all of our questions.
That's good. We're 1 minute from our final hour. I appreciate everybody staying online. We're going to go through just a few last slides. And with that last slide, we'd like to get into a little bit about our benchmark process as well, because you really want to know how can you review your system so that you can get a Massvit piece. I should point out, I apologize, my camera was turned on to me, so I had not seen. Our president, Kevin Sykes, has been online here. Unfortunately, I had muted him. He is our company president here in North America for Massvit 3D. He is available, I'm available, and we have a whole team behind us. I'm not the only salesperson. There's a team that's East Coast, West Coast. We have an education-focused group. We have a person focused on composite materials. With that, Kevin has been on for a little bit. He is the horsepower behind the North American team. And works with everybody to make sure that you're getting the best package you can for your application.
Yes, thanks, Jeff. I actually just joined just in case one of the questions was something that Jeff couldn't answer, but that rarely happens. So as you could see, he was more than able to take care of everything. But I did want to just take a quick moment to thank everyone for attending. Jeff's going to share a couple of other things here, but I appreciate everyone taking the time. If there's anything that we can provide to you after this, I saw a couple of questions that we'll follow up with written answers to those questions as well, and hopefully we'll have a chance to chat here in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Apologize for that, not getting you on, but I appreciate you jumping on. So as a last couple of slides, I think it's important to reiterate what we've talked about here today. What we've said is the fact that Massvit 3D has a unique technology, gel dispensing printing, that allows you to use their speed available finally that's practical to produce large scale parts. That really brings your cost of 3D printing down. You do not need to stay focused on the compromises that using other technologies forces you to do. You're not trying to produce a part that's to small scale because you're not able to get that part the way you want it. Now you can produce full-size parts. You can get parts out that are full scale very, very quickly. So we're reducing that cost, improve that time to market. So what we also want to talk about is our next steps after this webinar. Okay, the webinar is just the first step. We have a grand opening week because of our IPO a few months ago. We're able to really bring out a really large scale to go with our large scale printer, open house and experience center. The week of August 16th is targeted for our Atlanta area experience center open house. We're going to make it the week, not just open house day. We really, truly want everyone to come and see the printer. If you have interest in an education day focus, we have an engineering or manufacturing day focus. We have a visual communications day focus. We're certainly available to come to any one or all of those days, but we will make sure that if you have an application, we get your files looked at. We truly want everybody to be invested and involved in the benchmark process. Let's get us a file. Let's get a file review done between us. Send us a file to review. Let us get you an estimation, excuse me, and a sample part in production. Then if you're coming down to the open house, you can pick your part up. I'm happy to deliver it if it's somewhere here around Chicago, but we also are there at the open house. File estimation, file benchmarking is always done at no cost. We look at parts all around the world of all shapes and sizes. So it's a very large, very big thing for us to do for you. And we have no problem getting that done in a timely manner so that you can get those parts looked at. You can truly evaluate the return on investment on one of these massive pieces of equipment. So beyond that, I mentioned earlier, you'll see this slide again. My contact information is here. You can always reach out to the company because we have an international group online right now. Anyone can be reached at any of the regional offices, but we will have some upcoming events. As I said, about a month from now, we'll have our week of celebration for our Experience Center in Atlanta, or outside Atlanta in Roswell. The second week of September will be the largest trade show in the world for additive manufacturing, Rapid. We have a nice booth there, and we'll have equipment there running. And then we have some focused industry events on boating, on scenery, on composites throughout the rest of the year. Didn't want to bother you with all of the different texts, but we are more than happy to share with you our entire event calendar so that you can come and see the equipment and see the sample parts where they are. The best thing to do is start the benchmark process with us. Let us get an application review in, do some ROI analysis, take a look at the equipment, take a look at the parts, and put something in your hands. That's why you're looking at 3D printing. So I want to really give everyone one more teaser about the technology. We have at Massvit 3D a mindset of always moving forward. We are always on the cutting edge. We have developed and originated a whole new category of additive manufacturing. Now we're going to use this new category to revolutionize the composites manufacturing process. So coming in 2022, we have a new piece of equipment focused on the gel dispensing printing technology, but combining that with being able to transform the composite mold process. You're going to make your composite parts on molds that you can produce and use much faster than ever before. That technology is testing right now. We do have a beta program where we take deposits in, put you on the waiting list, and we actually have a fair amount, I think about 11 units already on the waiting list, starting out for next year. But what we're talking about is improving the composite production process, not by a compromised part, but by an improved process by weeks, days, months. Getting that mold out very, very quickly using our technology that you learned all about. So if you'd like to get some more information about that, we're more than happy to talk with people about it. It'll be a new product that we roll out through the end of this year and truly into 2022. So one last time, I really want to thank everyone for their time, everyone for their questions. The team over in Israel really put on a great job with the live demo. I think that everyone's learned today a good amount about 3D printing and about the gel dispensing printing process and how it's different than their traditional or the methods that have been used over the years, and how it can really benefit you, even if it's engineering or visual communications. All markets are picking up based on large part 3D printing. So once again, I want to thank you. Please feel free to get in touch with me directly or anyone at our factory. We're happy to answer any questions. Everyone will receive a copy of this presentation here by email. And thank you again for your time. It looks like it's about 7 minutes past your hour, so I appreciate everybody who stayed a little bit long. And again, thank you for your time.